Hello, Scorpio. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Tarot Illuminati by Eric C. Dunn. Supportive Oracle cards, Metrical Spell cards by Lucy Cavendish. Okay. Scorpio. Slap, slap, slap. What do you, okay. It's, I may be a little biased because I do like Scorpio energy, which is funny because sometimes people give me guff about that. And I'm like, well, I do. I also like Taurus energy and they're opposites. So I don't know what to say about that. But it feels kind of just like Scorpio to take a situation that might be a mess and just beat the hell out of it until it finally goes right. It's also like if the Scorpio energy that I'm familiar with, if the fight is worth it, like they're there all day, all night about it. Like they do not give up. If they believe it's worth it, they will not just let it fall. You also can't deter them. Like if they know what they're doing and they've made up their mind, you better just let them be. That's what I've experienced with Scorpio. Once they've made up their mind, you should just really get out of their way. If you have any sense, you should really just get out of their way. And this is what I feel is going on in this situation because it seems to be going in phases, and there's some rough points, but you're like, I don't care. This will not fail, and I've decided this will not fail. You're starting off with victory and success, which makes me feel like this is your attitude going right into it. Kind of like, oh, I see where this should be. I see how this is supposed to be, and I'm going to make sure that's how this happens. I'm not going to allow this to not be successful. It's very strong. It's very resilient. It's very, listen, this was meant to succeed, and I'm going to make sure it does. It's a situation that means a lot to you. You're just like, give up is not an option. Nope. Fail is not an option. Very strong energy. I think this is a good thing. I like this energy with Scorpio, kind of like, listen, we're setting off for it, and it's going to happen. Now, when you're coming into this situation, you're kind of giving people a chance to get on board, I would say. Kind of like, listen, this is kind of a mess. No. Just flat out, just no. I'm putting this in order. This will be correct. We're not doing this anymore. I advise you to work with me. You're not trying to be overly anything. You're just kind of like, this is wrong. It needs to be right. We're going to do it. I advise you to work with me. If you work against me, you're fighting me. And I'm telling you, you're not going to enjoy it. This is not right. We need to make it right. It's just, you're just kind of, this is the energy. Like, hey, no, this is wrong. This is something I have to be a part of. Not standing with it. Not standing for it. Nope. So you're giving this information out. All right. It starts pretty good. Because when you're starting off, you're just like, listen, I'm not saying we have to do everything my way. Because you're actually pretty giving in that sense. Like, I'm saying we're going to fix it. I'm not saying we have to do everything my way, a certain way. But if you want to do something different, we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it now. Because I've got plans. I'm moving forward. If there's something you think or see or want, you need to tell me now. And we'll work on it now. Because once I start, I'm not about slowing up and changing direction. I'm getting to my goal, and you're going, and that's how it is. But you're good with it. You got the Six of Pentacles. Like, you're giving to a degree. You're giving, but you're gonna have the other person or other people will have to give back. Like, you're gonna have to participate. If you expect to get something from me, you're gonna have to give something to me. We're gonna work on this fairly. You have a really good energy going into this. So, by the way, if this sounds a little harsh, I don't think it is. I think it's very good. It's kind of like when you see someone in physical pain and you're like, we need to get them to the hospital. You're like, we're not going to sit here and dicker around about it. We're get this person in the car, and I'm going to drive and just make sure people stay out of my way. We're going to get there. That's the kind of energy you have. Like, this needs to happen. We need to do this. You're taking control because somebody needs to. It needs to get done. So you're doing it. it's very strong. I don't want to make it sound like a life and death situation, but like you're taking it like, no, this will get worse if we don't handle it. We are going to handle it. That's it. You're giving people a chance to think about it within respect to the situation. Like, if you can afford to give them a week, I think that's really liberal if that's what you're doing. I would be kind of shocked. But if you can afford that, you're allowing that. I don't think it's going to be that long because I feel like before a week is up, you're going to start moving forward with plans at the very least, like putting things in place, what needs to happen, when it needs to happen. I don't see you waiting a week to start putting your plans together at the very least. So, but if you feel that liberal and that's something you can do, then more power to you. Do it the way you got to do it. General read. I'm getting hiccups with it though, because it's telling me that like, yeah, like waiting for somebody else to make up their mind. That's not. I don't feel like that's your strong suit. I think it's more like, come on, make your decision. Make a decision. Come on, let's go. You're like, no. But if you agree to a week, you will hold to it. I have no question about that, but I also feel like you're kind of like, I said I'd give you a week. Doesn't mean you have to take the whole week. Like, you just make up your mind. Like, I feel like that energy is also there. Page of Cups. Is it the Page of Cups? The Princess of Cups. It does feel like the Page in this situation. And I always feel like I need to say, like, the Princess doesn't always feel like the Page. Sometimes she has Knight energy. Also, with the Prince, it goes back and forth in this deck. It depends what's going on around it. But the Sun card is coming in where I feel like other people are just kind of like, well, what do you want to do? However you want to do it. Scorpio, you make the decision. We'll go along with it. And everything seems cool at this point. The reason you're giving people a chance to make up their own mind and decide how they want to do things is because you want them to be invested in the situation. But they're just kind of like, okay, whatever you want to do, we'll do that. I feel like this is going to set up for problems. Even though it's the Sun card, I feel like the Sun card is saying you will have success at some point. So it's kind of like assured success as much as you can have it. But I don't like the passive, like, okay, you want that to happen. You're saying we have to do it, so let's do it. I just feel this nodding like, yeah, okay, I feel that energy. I don't like it in this situation. It needs to be more connected. I don't think it's going to be, but it's cooperative here at this point, so it's not bad. I just feel like I don't feel like it's well thought out, just to be fair. Now, as we come into the next segment here, phase, whatever you want to call it, you're implementing your plan. King of Swords, you're saying, all right, y'all agreed. I said it was going to happen. Let's get going. Let's do it. Even if it's just the planning part, you're like, let's do it. Let's get going and do it. Let's do it. Why not? Why not, you know? Let's do it. The energy goes a little weird. At this point, at this point is when people start to give their, like, well, I need this to happen. Well, how about that? Well, can we do it this way? Or can't we do it that way? You gave them the chance to do this, to make this decision. You asked for this energy before. You said, tell me if you need something different. Tell me now. You already asked for this phase. That phase passed. You already asked for that, right? Tell me if you need something. Tell me if you have ideas or you have wants or needs or whatever. Tell me that phase passed, right? Now they're bringing it in. Oh, now that I think about it, now that I'm really thinking about it, looking at how it's been, that's the Six of Cups. This is what I would actually like. This is what I could actually do. This is how it would work best for me. This is how I would really need it to work if I'm going to be a part of this. It's annoying. And then I feel like you're matching that energy, and then you get the Ten of Swords, kind of like, well, what? I gave you... What? Like, there was that time. Remember when I said you should tell me? Remember when I gave you that, like, I'll give you a week, and you can tell me if you need this or that, and I can work it in? Remember that time? You know, a month ago, or whenever it was? Remember that? That's when you were supposed to bring this in. Remember that? Do we remember that? No? Do you not? The Ten of Swords is here. Like, I feel like it's devastation. Ten of Swords is typically, stereotypically devastation. You might be very, like, more ticked off than anything else. Kind of like, you know, you might have a moment where you kind of spout off about it. Like, really? Like, I gave you this moment, and now? Like, why can't you do things on plan? Like, why couldn't you just tell me when I asked you what it was? You're not happy about it, but it's one of those things where You already have it in you already have set off for success. You already have determined this will be successful. And you're like, I need this to work out the best way it can. So this isn't the way this was supposed to go, but I can work with it, and let me see what I can do with it. You got Justice coming in with the Death card. All right, so it's saying whatever you thought was going to happen has to be changed. Justice comes in to say if you really want this new way to happen, you want this situation to go a lot better, you got to take into account what other people are finally saying. Even though it's late and it's off kilter, not on time, whatever you want to call it, you still got to take it into account to get what you want. The Death card, I believe, is also the Scorpio card, which is telling me you're in control here, but for justice to work, you still, even though it's not right and you're a little annoyed with it, to get the success you want, to get the level of success you need, you're going to have to do and meld this in. So you do that. This is like the second phase here. Okay. Okay, so you do that. This energy is just, this is something, this whole thing. You have these two cards. These are interesting to me. You do what you have to. You make it work out. Okay, that's what you need. All right, I worked with it. I melded it here. I folded it here. I did this, that. I did move this around. I put this over there. Okay, then we're doing it that way. I've met all your requirements. Let's go. Let's do it. Now they have to, like, you adhere to their rules in a sense. Whatever their requirements were for this to happen, where they could help or do what they had to do, you made that happen. The Lover's card is telling me you passed the test. You made it happen. The Hierophant on their side is saying, oh, yeah, everything's exactly how I needed it. Exactly how I said it had to be for me to help. And you did that. The Rider card with this, though, is this. The Devil card. They might have come after the fact with a couple weird demands or how this needs to go for me to help or what I need there. Because they were thinking, because it was after the fact, that would get them out of this situation. That might have been the catch to this. But now that you've moved things around and you made it conducive for what they said it had to be for them to help, now they feel like they're obligated to help. And they might be a little bit cranky about it, unhappy that, you know, that's how that happened. I'm also getting like the Wheel of Fortune turning here. And then the Five of Wands popping in. You might notice some adversity or some apprehension to move forward. Apprehension is what I'm getting. And I get, like, as soon as you see that happening, like, what's your problem? Why aren't you moving? I bent over backwards to make this the way you said it had to be for you to help. And now it's there, so what's the problem? So if they're stalling or dawdling, you're not going to, I feel like you're going to call it right out in 2 seconds. Like, what's your problem? I bent over backwards to make this work so you could do this because I need you to make this work. What's the problem? You're going to figure it out. If you didn't know already, you will figure out that they really just were trying to get out of the situation. I also see like you're not letting that happen. You're not happy with this whole attitude about how this is going at this point, but you're still forcing it forward with the Knight of Swords, which could be a lot of communication. I feel like you're also telling whoever this is why it's important or what ties them to the situation and why they need to help. And you might also be reiterating that you bent over backwards to make it fit their needs and that you do need them to do this. This is kind of like the third phase, and it's kind of like, okay, let's go, people. We're going to do this. You do finally inspire this person to stand up and move forward. You got the Knight of Wands, the safe home protection, and the magical powers. All this comes in at once in the environment. Because you're not playing. You're like, no, I said this was going to work. And guess what? It's going to work. You set off with that energy like, I said it's going to work. And guess what? It's going to work. Because I told you it was going to, and it's going to. You did not back down. You're not taking no for an answer. You're not accepting second place. Nope. We're going to succeed, and we're going to make it a win. It's going to happen. The energy around you finally gets it, and like, you know what? If I expect my life to be nice, if I expect things to move on, I just need to click in gear and make it happen. They finally move forward. They finally do what they need to do. They take the extra steps to make that happen because they're also realizing if they want this to move on, the sooner it hits that successful moment, the easier it's going to be for them and you. This is what the situation required. It's almost like forcing somebody to go to the hospital and they don't think they need to. It's kind of like, oh no, you're going because I'm not going to have this. When this is over and you finally get to that level that you need to get to, so it might be just getting to that level and maintaining it. That could be it, like bringing the situation up and keeping it there. That might be where you're trying to get to. Like that's when the this is over type feel. Like, all right, I've raised it up here. Now I have to work to keep it up here. That might be what we're talking about. You've got confidence, grace, and beauty. What I'm getting is like, I feel like you're holding a lot back because the way the situation played out, it really kind of weighs on your mind that it took so much to finally get it here, that you had a lot of apprehension to finally get it here. It seems to really bother you. And with the Queen of Cups, you're kind of holding that to yourself, but they're also saying, remind yourself that you did make this. You did make this work out, and this was how this needed to happen. Remind yourself that this was good. Because it's kind of like, especially with the beauty card here, is like, if somebody else is giving you a hard time saying you're kind of like a bit too much, or I've heard sometimes, like a couple Scorpios I know, they get accused of being over aggressive, but sometimes it's that same attitude that creates a situation that actually does flourish or gets better. So it's kind of like, just keep that in mind is what I'm getting. There's a lot of good here. Do your best to just try to keep yourself together and not let other people pull you down with this, because there's the confidence especially makes me feel like people are going to be coming at you kind of like telling you you're overbearing. And in the future, you need to remember, like, moments like these actually work out because you don't back down and you don't give in. If you gave in, the success would not have happened. There's a lot of times in life where sometimes you got to have that aggressive leader. If that aggressive leader was not there, things would have failed. And that would have been very devastating, much more devastating than what actually did happen. Authenticity with the High Priestess is saying, when you're at the end of this, you need to remember for yourself. Don't depend on other people to have you remember, but remember for yourself that, yeah, Scorpio energy is very strong. It can be a lot for other people to handle, but it's also that same energy that without it, a lot of things would fail. Every one of those leader energies, Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, and Aquarius, these all have their time of being accused of being too harsh or too overbearing. But these are also those energies that usually pull forth a level of success that would not be obtained without that leader drive and that leader energy. So don't let people hold you down with it. Always remember that you know, maybe it's not the prettiest picture, maybe it wasn't the most enjoyable way getting here, but without it, a lot of the success would not be here either. Are we good? All right. I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.